Mark LePere with Green Global Real Estate Education Network. Another fine Wednesday here in Nashville. A lot of fun yesterday. The mayor was here, or not the mayor, one of the ladies who is running for the mayor's office, Carol Swain, was here. And, well, not here, she was down the hallway, but I intercepted her halfway down and asked her a few questions about real estate, her views, and transportation and affordable housing. Steve, did you know that the state passed a law that we're not allowed to have B, vacant property, Airbnbs at all now?
Yes.
I wasn't aware of it.
What do you mean B?
B is if you buy a house and strictly for Airbnb.
Yeah,
okay.
I know that. 3 years.
You can still have A, but as Irina and I tried one time, A is you live there and you rent a room out.
Yeah.
As Irina and I tried, because we did a little test, we couldn't get the insurance that the Airbnb requires to have an Airbnb in your house. I could get it for a rental property, but I couldn't get it for my own personal house. And we have some pretty darn good insurance guys because we buy a lot of property. And the funny thing is, Steve Williams could not find the insurance for it. And I called another guy, and Steve called back another time. I called 20 other people. So, trying to do the right thing with getting Airbnbs is not easy, mainly because, and I was at Larry's meeting on Monday at Corky's. You guys should go there at lunchtime, a good group. But one of the guys was asking, he had a studio or a music studio or a hair salon or Airbnb. And they don't let you do anything. And I brought up the point, think of it as an insurance problem. You start putting 60,000 amps, you're jamming down your basement, or a bunch of hair dryers, professional hair dryers in the basement, you're trying to get your own personal business. Those old wires, they just don't take that kind of stress. So hooking a couple of your customers is not a good way to run a good business. And this is what happens: is everybody thinks that the house looks good, I'll just throw 20 more people in there. Well, as our foundation guy told us the other day, you have an old house, you throw in tile, you throw in granite countertops, you put in one of them 6-burner stoves, one of them giant refrigerators with the water thing, and then you wonder why the kitchen is going like this, Then you gotta call this guy back up. So it has to do a lot with, they talk about illegal people doing, it's not an Airbnb, it's a roommate. So it's not more of the bad element people coming in as opposed to your house is not that it's not safe, because one of the restrictions was have an inspector come here, check your fire alarms. Normal stuff, normal safety stuff that would help protect you, protect the people that you're renting to, and maybe your neighbors. It's one thing you're in a house and you got a little footage between you and the next door neighbor, but you rent out a piece of, a condo, an extra bedroom in your condo, and they're cooking. We put an extra little refrigerator, one of the little box refrigerators, a coffee pot, and a record player, all plugged to one plug with one of those multi things, which had the circuit breaker in. Oh wow, that cheap $3 thing protecting my house with a $3 circuit breaker. These things obviously are done wrong. And you can't blame the government for shutting this stuff down. So anyway, we talked about tiny homes because we were talking about building tiny home villages. And she brought up that she thought they were only for homeless people. You know, those little sheds. I lived in one of those sheds down Florida for my friend's house, and he had it set up like a man cave. He had, air conditioner, beer cooler. So we're talking about tiny homes, and they're not just for homeless people. They are. You should see some of the cool designs. So we are starting to develop tiny home villages, or at least the idea of building these tiny home villages all around, where you can actually move your tiny home. Well, they're all wheels. Pop them around all over the country. That's one of me and the guy in Florida's ideas. So, transportation, of course, buses and all that stuff we were talking, affordable houses. But Monday night, I was sitting outside the house having a cigar about 11:30 at night, and I was telling somebody about this. I was listening to the oldies, and I said, well, geez, I really should be listening more to motivational business, stuff like that. And I said, hey, we have a motivational business kind of a company. Let me go to my own website. So I did. I went on I have 15% left. So I did. I went on to learnfromgreen.com, went into my calendar since I'm a member. As a matter of fact, I had to log in on my phone because I never did it before. I had Rita, what's my login number? So if you ever forget, call her in. She was always logging. So I logged in and I pushed the button, thinking, I'm going to go check this out, see how good it is. Now, I don't know if you guys can see. You won't be able to see. But I was amazed. And I'm going to thank Marcus for doing a lot of this stuff, and Andrea. This is our classes that we have, that we record, that we archive, and you can see them on the website perfectly fine.
Good afternoon, everybody.
But this is what I can watch this on my phone. This is my new thing, guys. I don't know if you can see it, but it's fabulous. This is what we're trying to bring, the technology.
It's finance real estate. I'm the author. It's quite a long.
Now, Larry, when he talks, he's my old broker from 2001. When he talks his Friday show about fix and flips or lease purchases, lease options, I go to his office down Florida. I sit there like a little kid. And we're like a month apart in age. And he's older. And I keep calling him my old broker. Well, he's my old broker. And when I hear him, when I'm traveling somewhere on a Friday and his show's on like 12 o'clock, I literally pull off the road. I can't drive and listen to Larry. My brain just goes a million miles an hour. Anyway, this is what we try to bring. This is what Green is trying to bring to everybody. As a member, you get, and we have, we have 100 of these kind of things so far, Marcus, at least. Plus more, so we had 2 today. We had Sharon Restrepo at 10 o'clock doing, she's in West Palm, buying property and showing us how to buy and rent. And then Michelle Moore on at 12 o'clock. Oh, by the way, there's Kathy Broda right there. So anyway, I just want to show you I keep surprising myself, not only with the talent that comes in here and the stuff that I don't know, and nobody waterproofed more houses than I did. I thought back in the day that was my job. My dad used to throw me in some ditch with 20 buckets of mud, black tar. And, he used to forget to give me a brush, and I had to smear it on my hand. But the stuff you still learn today, of course, there's always new stuff coming out. I thought when you have a mold house, you go in there with 50 gallons of Clorox, and hey, I never use the gloves or a mask or anything. The guy came in here, he says, absolutely wrong. He says, it's like a living organism that has tentacles in there, and it knows when it's getting killed. It's like those alien movies where you kill the outside and the thing breaks off and stays in there till the thing goes away. There's another thing, you gotta kill it slowly so it doesn't know. I didn't know I was supposed to be sensitive. I guess today is that sensitive time where we have to treat, living organisms with some sensitivity.
Be politically correct.
Be politically correct. I was a sledgehammer. I was still. So anyway, and if you guys knew what was coming in the green, coming up, it's just exploding like it's going out of style. We're with the top people in the country, and when you mentioned that, you said, "Oh, I'm going to wait till somebody." They said, "Let's bring them in now, because let's get them in, let's get them positioned, because this thing is going to explode." So I am done for tonight. I will. For 4 weeks we had here. Not many times we have a 4-weeker, but there was a lot of information, and we didn't want them to go rush through a lot of stuff about foundations, because it is truly a way to make a lot of money in investing real estate. I smile. Look at me smile. We live for somebody else's misery. Unfortunately, we try to help them out with Kathy Grodi doing a reverse one. We try to help you out, but if you insist on losing your house or it slips off the foundation, we know the tricks that makes a lot of money to get them things back on where we can make some money in. Or if we have the house and we see these things, we know how to take care of them before they turn into major problems. So anyway, I would like to, did you see my Facebook ad? I found a picture of a couple foundation things. One of them had these jacks on it, looked like some of the things you were talking about. One of them was one of them houses fall off the cliff kind of deal. I put it on Facebook to announce that you were coming to Meetup or something. Did you see the one on Meetup? Did you see the picture? You were on Meetup. Did you see the picture? Anyway, I want to bring up Robert Elam to finish up his 4-part series, and it's all recorded and it's all archived, so you can watch it if you missed the first 3 parts on foundations. I don't know what he's going to be talking about today, but we are fascinated every day. Thanks, Robert.
Hello, this is week 4 and the last opportunity that I will have to speak with you guys. We had so much to cover when they contacted me about coming and speaking. They asked me to cover what we did at United Structural Systems concerning houses that had problems. I was spoken with Andrea, and I said, and we do foundation repair, which is a whole course in itself. We do waterproofing, crawl spaces, basements, basement wall pushes, excavations. We do structural repair, which is in the crawl space, getting these floors shored back up, getting them lifted up. We do concrete leveling. And he said, why don't we just do 1 a week for 4 weeks? And I said, great, that makes it easy. I don't have to rush through everything and give you just a little bit of information. I can get a little more in depth. So that's what we've done. And I've actually enjoyed being here. I appreciate you guys letting me come in. I've learned a lot from you, from the things that you've said about what your company is doing and how the growth has been phenomenal for you guys. I'm really happy for you that is what is going on. And I found out, coincidentally, that this gentleman has come up here from Fort Myers, Florida, which is where I came from. I just lived right off Daniels Parkway. We were talking about that last week. But I'm looking at retirement in a few years, and now I'm thinking to myself, when I sell my house here, maybe I can leverage it to get into some properties in Fort Myers and do some flipping or something, because I've always had an interest in that. I see a lot of houses that are on the market for various reasons. I work with a tremendous amount of real estate agents. They call me in the inspection period and are frantic, screaming, help, help, help. And they need me yesterday because the inspector has found water in the crawl space or foundation issues. And they're worried about closing the deal now. So I kind of learned a lot just by being in this industry. I've seen a lot of houses that are really cheap, and I thought to myself, I'm looking at the problems here, and they're not that big a deal. It wouldn't take much to fix this property, but for some reason people are flipped out, and they don't know. It's ignorance. They hear foundations broken, and they run screaming in the night, which is good for you guys. But I have seen and learned a lot about this industry just by being in crawl spaces and in basements that are having wall pushes. So I've developed an interest in what you guys are doing now over the last few weeks, and so I think I may be pursuing some of that myself. Tonight, we will be talking about structural repairs. He had mentioned earlier how sometimes, I've seen this so many times I can't count, where I go to a home in East Fort Myers or somewhere, East Nashville.
I say that all the time.
See where my heart is? So I go to East Nashville, and I see some house that's 80 or 100 years old with a dugout basement, and I get down in there, and it's being held up by tree stumps. And they have had some flippers come in and perform cosmetic surgery. Well, these guys, they come in and slap a new architectural shingle on the roof. They paint everything. They rip the floors out, move a wall or two around. And like he was saying earlier, to sell a house, you have to make mama want the house. Because mama's going to make everybody miserable until she's happy. So basically, men just want a place to put their recliner and their big screen TV, and they want to have a garage. And if they've got those things, they're good to go. But the wife is going to be impressed with the kitchen. And these flippers come in, and they make these beautiful, magnificent kitchens with these big Samsung refrigerators that are 6 feet wide and double door. And they put in beautiful tile floors, and they put in granite countertops. And they do these big Vulcan ovens, a $3,000 stove. The thing about all this is, as he was mentioning, as Mark was mentioning, these things weigh a whole lot more than the skinny little ice box that was in that house 80 years ago or 100 years ago. And the flooring, the structural, the joists, the subflooring, none of that was ever made to bear up underneath that weight. So you go into these houses and they fix everything, do a flip. They sell the house because it's beautiful and it's positioned perfectly in Nashville for this attorney and his wife, or this doctor at Vanderbilt and his wife, to have access, easy access to everything going on in downtown Nashville. About 6 or 8 months later, they call me. I go up to the house and the wife goes, "What are all these cracks in the drywall? They weren't here when we bought the house." And I say to her, "Yeah, they kind of were." But with a little bit of putty and a little bit of paint, they all went away. But they didn't fix the problem. And the problem is, your structure was never ready to support the kind of weight that it's being asked to support now. So, we get in the crawl space, or dugout, basement, whatever.
You get smacked for that from the lady?
I'm sorry?
No, you should say that to the lady, because that's not very nice.
What did you what?
That it wasn't for this kind of weight.
The structure was never meant to
This kind of refrigerator. I thought you were talking to the lady.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody about losing weight right now. I won't need to wait until I get rid of about 50 pounds. But that's not just in the older homes. That's in every home. What happens is you get a home in Franklin. I've seen a million of them with the cracks around the door frames, doors won't open and close properly. And it's just sagging framing work for many reasons. The house may be 20, 30, 40 years old. And the husband comes in with a gun safe that weighs 2,000 pounds, or they put up a 100-gallon aquarium that weighs hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Or it's just the framing might not have been done ideally to begin with. Under walls, support walls, etc., they should have doubled up tuba twills. A lot of times they don't do it correctly. You get these framers who come in and they're subcontractors, and they may or may not do the best work that they could have done. Other times it's not the builder's fault. The builder did do a good job, built everything up to codes, which, bear in mind, we talked about this in the very beginning. Codes is another word for minimums. So when somebody says, well, it's up to code, well, what they're saying is it's up to the minimum. So that never impresses me. When someone tells me something's up to code, I go, okay, so you do it up to the minimum is what you're saying. But
Also, a lot of COs passed where they missed it completely.
sure. Yes, and we actually talked about that. I had a gentleman in Springfield who had these problems, structural problems. I got in this crawl space. I saw joists that didn't have any support. They needed joist hangers. I saw all kinds of things that were going on. Took him in the crawl space and showed him all these things. He got furious. Tom was 2, and he was ready to start suing everybody. And I said, well, can't use me for that because, you know, I sell products for USF, and they're just going to say I'm a salesman trying to sell you something. So I referred him to a structural engineer who has nothing to sell him but knowledge. And of course he brought the engineer in, but he went down to the codes enforcement in Spring Hill and asked him, how did this house get past codes enforcement and get a certificate of occupancy? And he was told, we can't look at every house. We're overwhelmed.
Wow.
Spring Hill is exploding, and we can't possibly look at every house. That's what he told me that they said to him. I wasn't there, but it kind of made sense because I live in Spring Hill, and I can tell you that city is exploding right now. But what happens is sometimes the framing carpenters don't do everything they should do. Sometimes it's not anybody's fault. It's just age and time. As Mark knows, as time passes, everything starts to sag a little bit. And ta-da.
Zing.
Bye, Mickey. It's just life. As time goes by, wet, cold, hot, dry, humid. I mean, all these things take a toll on wood, and it will begin to sag. The framing will sag, and it causes these drywall cracks because it's not supporting walls properly. So, whether you've got a home that's an older home and has been rehabbed, or whether you guys are going to rehab an older home, you want to bear in mind that I don't know what your liabilities are for these things, but when these homes begin to have these problems shortly after they're sold, after they've been flipped, I don't know if they can come back on you guys or not. I don't know.
They can.
They can?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I would suggest that you bear in mind maybe just getting a good assessment of what's going on in the crawl space. Sometimes it's not the framing, sometimes it's not the builder, sometimes it's water. We talked about that last week. Sometimes if you've got a moisture issue in the crawl space over time, the high humidity levels will soften the wood, soften the subfloor, and allow for sagging, allow for problems. Sometimes the support columns, I've been in houses where the support columns were like 12 feet apart and single row blocks, just very flimsy. These are all structural. Can we just scroll on up, please, to the AutoCAD drawing? This is a house, local house. We can go on up, please. Okay, right here. As you can see, these beams, the red beams and the blue are our jack posts. What we do is we come in with adjustable steel jack posts. And there's a big difference in different companies and the products that they use. And I will tell you right off the bat, you cannot go across the street to Lowe's and buy these flimsy little jack posts and put down a little concrete pad like Grandma has in her garden and try to lift floors with them. They're not made for that. It's written right on the carton that they come in that it's not weighted for that. It's not made for that. So bear bear in mind that a good heavy gauge structural steel adjustable column, we use 5-inch thick, high strength steel rebar reinforced concrete footers that we countersink into the ground to lessen the effects of the shrinking and swelling of the soil as we countersink it a few inches into the ground. And then we lift these areas up. Now we will use a steel I-beam. We don't go with 4x4s or 4x6s. We use steel I-beams because it's a forever product. And when we go jack post to jack post to jack post to jack post, we lift these up with steel I-beams in the areas of concern because we want it done once and forget about it. So this particular drawing shows how these areas have been sagging for some reason. This is obviously down the main section of the house. Here's a couple of jack posts over here. So what you've got is just trying to lift it up, stabilize it, and stiffen the floor so that it will quit moving around. And then you can come in and repair the drywall cracks, and they should stay gone. Also, we can go directly under a door. Say one of these doors, say the door in the middle. You can stand back and look at a door that's not functioning properly or that has a crack across one of the corners. And when you stand back and look at it, you will see that the door frame is taking a dive in one direction or the other. It's level on it to see. Somebody saying something? What we can do under that situation is just put a single jack post on a concrete footer right underneath that area and lift that framing back up, which is pretty cheap and pretty easy to do. Then we just get that door back up, make sure it's open and closing properly, then you can fix that crack and move on with your life. I think if you go to the next agreement, please, can you do that for me? There's one in particular that's a kitchen. It's all this steel and jack posts put underneath the kitchen for the exact reason we talked about earlier. It's a little overloaded for the structure to handle whenever that happens. Are we getting another agreement up?
I'm working on one. If this isn't it, I'll get the other one. You sent me 3.
Yes.
So here's the next one.
Okay, let's scroll up to the AutoCAD drawing, please. Okay, this is a nightmare. This house, this is not the one I'm talking about, but we'll get to it. We might will just cover this one while we're here. But you can see the red dots through here. These are steel piers. This has got foundation issues. Cracks in the wall. These are sinking. This is steel piering. The blue represents an interior pier. For whatever reason, the front deck won't allow us to get a pier in there, so we have to go inside and put the pier in. We can do that. We got shorty pipes. If the crawl space is at least 3 feet, we can get in there and get a steel pier done from the interior. This guy's spending some money. Again, install 5 new support columns on the main girder. What's happened is that the current concrete support columns are either overspanned or they're sagging in between them, which generally means they're overspanned and when you start getting sagging in between them. So we're going in between the current support columns and putting in our steel jacks to add additional support. This is bad construction. This is just some builder went in there and he spaced these concrete columns too far apart, and now they're sagging in between. Or it also might be that what I've seen, unbelievably, is twin 2x8s or 2x10s. My own house has triple 2x12s with block columns 5 feet on center. Made sure of that before I bought the house. Triple 2x12s, block columns, double block columns, 5 feet on center. It ain't going anywhere. But it could be any one of those things with this particular house. They could be overspanned, or you might have a couple of 2x10s or something that just aren't doing the job. Again, on the garage, more piers, the garage corner sink. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What should it be? Did you say 2x? What should it be?
We should have at least double 2x12s. If triple 2x12s would be great.
Double.
Block columns no more than 5 or 6 feet on center.
Thank you.
That would be a good, solid construction. And the span from this to the outer walls, most houses are 25 feet deep. and you've got the block columns running right down in the middle, which means you got about 12 feet on either side, basically. And that's just joists running. Joists should be 2 by 10s. So, I mean, make sure you got that. I've seen 2 by 8s, even 2 by 6s. Yes.
And now with the new interior decorators, they don't, we used to have their sofa up against the wall. Now they want it in the middle of the room.
Yes, islands.
Yes. So you have more airspace around, which puts all the weight right in the middle of your span.
Which is easy. It's so easy. You just get in the crawl space underneath your new island, put in 2 jack posts, steel I-beam, 8, 10 feet, whatever you need, and give it that support before you ever get started. And you'll never have a problem with it. It's very easy to do. So I don't know, but I don't know if you guys are buying and renting, flipping, whatever you're doing, but I run into some people, and I understand that the whole deal here is to make a profit. I get it. But if you're going to avoid having problems in the future, you want to at least do the minimum to make sure that you've sold a good, solid product that is going to come back and bite you later. I'm sure that you would agree with that, to go in and put in a little bit of some I-beams, even 4 by 6, and do something. And it's some really good jack stands on good, solid. Like I said, our footers are 5-inch thick. We make them; they're pre-cast. We make 5-inch thick, high-strength steel rebar, the tic-tac-toe pattern in the footer to strengthen it, and then we countersink it into the ground several inches to lessen the effects of shrinking and swelling on soils. Around here, soils shrink and swell in the winter, and it's moist and cool. We get a lot of swelling in summer and July and August. It's bone dry and 100 degrees out there, so it shrinks and contracts. What has happened in the past that we are preventing by doing this is that people will call us and say these cracks are coming back. Well, it's just that the jack posts need adjusting. They just go shrinking and swelling, you need to adjust them next. So,
as a ground around here, do you recommend that in the summertime when it gets really hot that people use a sprinkler or put water around the foundation of the house?
yes, sir. We got watering your foundation. That's
You mentioned that last week or the week before.
Yeah, there's a waterproofing or something like that. The hoses that just gently weep water, like when you use it in the flower beds, which you turn so and it doesn't spray everywhere. It just gently weeps water. You can wrap that around your foundation and you can move it, let it run a few hours over here, then move it, run a few hours over there. In certain areas of your foundation, more susceptible to settlement than others. If you're going down a slope, like on my house, I have a very gentle slope. It's not dramatic, but if you stand in front of my house, left to right, I have a fall away lot. It's very gentle, but I know that if I ever have foundation problems, far and away, it's likely going to be on the right side of the home as it's going down that hill. Because there's this thing called Newton's law of gravity, and everything it wants to go down the hill. You can't help it. That's the law. That's the gravity law. I know in my heart that if I ever have a foundation problem, and I've got block, underneath the siding, it'll tell me the tale. It'll tell me the stair stepping crack will come if it ever starts slipping, and I know exactly who to call and fix it. But it hasn't happened, and I do go out of my way to take preventive measures such as that to keep the soil. You have a micro environment in your house, your property, however big your quarter-acre lot, acre lot, whatever it is. That's your micro environment. You want balance. You don't want too much water. You don't want it too dry. You want balance. So bear that in mind, that this is your little chunk of the earth, your microenvironment, and what you want is a good, solid balance of moisture and dryness. But this one is a real nightmare. This guy's got, this is the kitchen area. This can stabilize the floor of the kitchen area, and that's 20 feet. So they're pretty much covering the whole kitchen. Got 20 feet of steel with 4 support columns lifting it up. The reason these two are close is because they're cut off. Right here is one section of 10 feet. Here's another section of 10 feet. Can't easily get 20-foot long steel I-beam into a crawl space. They kind of don't want to go through the crawl space door. A lot of times we will knock out a vent somewhere and slide materials into a vent hole because we can't go in the crawl space entry with it. There's the crawl access there. Here's 20 feet of steel. So 2 10-foot sections have been put in just for convenience of getting it in. Even if it were a 20-foot section, it would still require 4 columns according to engineering standards. So that one I wanted to show you because the kitchen was exactly what you were talking about.
You have living space under the kitchen, so you just go in and mess it up, put I-beams. You got a trick to that.
The living space, like you got a basement?
Yeah, like 3 level, so you just got at the end down below the kitchen.
Yes, sir. That'll be cause more concern. Usually, when you go into the areas underneath, you're going to have steel support columns. They may be wrapped or encased in wood or decorative somehow, but you're going to have support columns. In which case, what you're going to have to do is take out the ceiling in the bottom area, in the lower area, take out the ceiling, assess what's going on, where it's sagging, what it needs, and then either install additional steel posts. Now, that's a different situation. It's not adjustable columns. These are actual steel posts that are 10 feet tall. So you would have to satisfy removing the floor, and say like there was a space above us like there is below us, for example. We'd come in and remove the ceiling, and then you have to make an assessment. Honestly, I would call a structural engineer on that one, just to lay down the plans, and then we can do the work for you. I'm very strong about making sure that everything is done correctly, and when it gets a little odd or a little different, when you get into these situations, I've been in people's houses where the second floor, they had cracks and stuff around the drywall, and it transfers to the first floor, which transfers into the crawl space. I can't say it enough. Thank God for bad builders, or I wouldn't have a job. So, I say that, and I mean it with all my heart. Thank God for bad builders, so that I can go work every day. Okay, install 4 steel columns supported by 18 by 18 by 10 inch concrete footings. Okay, what we're doing here is sometimes when we've got a load that we don't want to put a adjustable steel column in, we will come in and we will dig and pour concrete footers. There are times when you're going to put the kind of weight on it that you really want to pour concrete footer. Sometimes the structural engineer will instruct it has to be a poured concrete footer. So we don't come in there with precast. Sometimes they just won't let you. And this is a replace wood shims with steel shims. Frequently we'll go into a crawl space and you'll see the block columns, and right where the joist is, they've got wooden shims driven in. Kind of like the ones you use to prop open the door. Well, those are crap. They're going to crash under the weight of a house. It's just a little flimsy wooden shim. What we do is we come in on either side of the column with these adjustable jack posts. We lift it up, we take those out, and we put in steel. And then we set it back down. And we put in whatever steel, number of steel we need for the amount of adjustment that's required. But this is one of those typical examples of somebody shimming, a builder shimming with wooden shims, and I see all kinds of things. You go in there, you'll see 2x4s wedged underneath the joist between it and the concrete column. You'll see those little triangular things that get thicker and thinner on each end. But it's all sooner or later going to fail you because the wood will crash under the weight of the house. So we come in 11 girder locations, 11 of them. We got to lift every one of them up, take the wood out, put in steel shims. Not a big expense, but 11 of them, it's going to add up. I mean, I got to have a crew out there, for a long period of time, lifting up every one of these. And it requires a gentle touch. You can't just go jacking it up. You got to very gently lift it up, get those out, and then put in what you need, steel. What we got here? 2x12 joist. Okay, this apparently we need a 2x12 joist put in here. For whatever reason, the framers didn't do an adequate job. So we're going to go in and run a sister joist. It's called a sister joist. Put in a sister joist to slide up right up with the other joist to help that joist bear up under the load. So where it should have probably been a double 2x12 to begin with, there's only a single, and now it's begun to fail. And so we're going to go in, lift everything up, put in a sister 2x12 joist, attach them together, and strengthen that area so that it can withstand the weight that it's under. Okay, here I am going along again, but do you have any questions for me about structural repairs?
On an average, 1,500 square foot house, normal,
Of all the things we do, structural repairs are the cheapest.
Really?
That's any good news to you.
Yeah.
To come in and slap these footers down, put in jack posts, steel I-beam, Generally, it's like an area that we're just supporting. I have in the past come across houses where, as I was saying in the beginning, it's 25 feet deep normally, and the columns run down the middle, and it's sagging on either side of the columns. We had to run steel all the way on both sides, end to end. Normal, average little house would be maybe 50 to 70 feet long, wide, and so you're talking about 50, 100 feet of steel on each side. If you did all of that, you get 10 grand.
Oh,
But what I'm saying is that generally, this bedroom's a little bouncy. What can you do? In my own brother's house in Brentwood, his living room, big living room, but it was wide open. It was like 30 by 30 or something. Big living room. And 20, I don't know what it was, big. So we went in and we ran a 20-foot I-beam. We got out for like 2 grand. But all we were doing was helping support that wide open area, big break room areas, or what I'm talking about. Yes. But they don't have the support, and we ran a couple of jack posts, and I don't know, I forgot how much it was, 15, 20 feet of steel, and just shored it up, because when he was walking across, he could feel the floor go back. When you're walking across the floor, and everything on the walls is rattling and shaking,
Yes.
you might want to inspect it.
do you get free inspection?
Free estimates, free inspections, free. Got my business card there. I'll use them on me, and I'll hook you up with a project manager who'll come out to your house and take good care of it.
I have one.
Yes.
If you have a home, I think what size is the home in 411 Newberry?
It's about 1,900.
About 1900. And the dirt is sliding into the wall. It's pushing the house off the foundation. It's already put a bow into the bottom of the foundation, so you can see it when you look at it. You can see the bow in it. It's even cracked the foundation, so you can look right through it. What would you have to do with that? Would you have to pull that all the way out?
But I'm not seeing it. It sounds like you need to actually get that earth off the wall. I mean, number one, you want to get the pressure off the wall. The only way to do that is get dirt off the wall. I frequently have bowing basement walls, so I go into a basement and I'll look at the wall that has earth on it. Maybe it's 30, 40 feet wide, and there's a horizontal crack running right down the middle. And I know that earth on the other side is pushing that wall.
It is.
And that is, again, the shrinking and slowing of the soil. During the rainy season, it swells and it's pushing on that wall. I can give you a quick explanation if nobody minds. Okay?
Go ahead.
What we want to do is, when the builder builds the house, we talked about this last week. Around here, unless you're in an expensive home, say in the area, we're going to have formed or steel rebar reinforced. Generally, they're block walls. Generally, they don't core fill them or running rebar down through the cavities.
It is block.
And generally, the only thing holding that block wall is the mortar joints. Okay, mortar joints are this thick, and you got all this earth on the other side. Code does not require them to do what is the right thing, and that is to not backfill earth against the wall. When a builder builds a basement, he has a mountain of earth left over from the dig out. It costs money to bring in dump trucks and haul that earth away. It costs money to bring in gravel that should go against that wall. But that block wall, sometimes 10, 12 feet tall with earth on the other side of it, should be adequately waterproof with multiple coats of tar coating, multiple. Like coat it, come back tomorrow, coat it again, come back tomorrow, coat it again. Put a foam board against it to protect it from the backfill of gravel that you're going to put against it. Put in adequate footer drains, socked in a geocloth to keep them free flowing, perforated, corrugated, socked, so that the sock keeps out the sediment. Run them away, the footer drains. Backfill that area with gravel 2-3 feet out.
Oh, yeah.
Physics teaches us that if you backfill enough gravel to equal the height of the wall, you neutralize the pressure. So you got a 10-foot wall to go 10 feet out with gravel, you neutralize the pressure, but you don't have to do that. You go 2 or 3 feet. Now what happens when that water comes trickling down the hill, wicking its way through those soils, it meets up with gravel. In the past, it just kept going until it met up with a block wall. and then it lays there against the wall, soil swell, pressure push. When it runs into this gravel barrier, it trickles down through the gravel into the footer drain, carried away. You're keeping the pressure off the wall. Additionally, gravel has the ability to crunch and relax when you're shrinking the soil and soils. So as it crunches and relaxes, it allows it to have a little bit of flexibility.
So you said 2 or 3 feet out, but how deep of gravel?
All the way up.
Oh, really?
80%.
That's what I thought.
80%?
80%. All you want is enough soil on top of it to grow grass and plant a bush and set your HVAC unit, whatever you want to do. 80%, and then the last 20% can be topsoil for plants and flowers and trees and stuff. And
Would it be nice to put a couple piers, block piers, in that 30-foot run to help that wall support that long run?
What we do is we go in, if you've got a wall push, and we've had to excavate it, it's that bad, and we've had to excavate it. When we have a mechanical device known as an 8-jack, we put it in series against the wall, and we crank it very slowly, a little more every day while we're working on the dig out, and we put the wall back into place, get it as plumb as possible back on the footing. You can look down and see the wall sliding in off the footing. We get it back as good as we can, and then we put in steel I-beams all the way down that wall. Every so many feet, steel I-beams that are connected to the joists above or bolted in the floor below, and then we run some additional blocking in the joists that are spread low. And those steel I-beams with a complete excavation, you've got with us a 15-year warranty on waterproofing. Doesn't mean that in 15 years in one day you're going to be wet. It just means that we guarantee that that black mastic will last 15 years. And lifetime of structure on the water push. Those I-beams will stop it forever.
Well, just on the top of your head, what would that cost?
Oh, I've done several of those. A cheap one would be 20, realistic 25, 30, 35,000. That's a big old project when you got
We got one of those, don't we, Les?
That's a big one.
Yeah, we do.
So, well,
Thank you so much.
Sulphur Creek.
Robert Elam.
Thank you.
They've been out to look at it.
Was it
$35,000.
35?
I'm reporting the 49.
Thanks, Robert.
In Newberry. You know,
We built green for the reasons that he's talking about. Now, today, everybody's suing everybody, and you guys talked about, oh, am I liable for that? Remember Paulie's deal?
Right.
Paulie sold the house. 3 years later, some guy sold it again, and then something happened, and they went back all the way to the first person who had money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't care. You just keep suing back until you find the money. And they found Paul, and Paul fixed it anyway, even though he saw it. So with the problems, foundation bottoms, already in the 4 weeks he talked about water problems under the house and mold. You know, all of a sudden your kids get sick and stuff. We had a huge green drywall, that Chinese drywall stuff down in Fort Myers a couple of years back, which was leaking whatever, carbon monoxide, whatever it was leaking. I have friends of mine whose kids are still deathly sick. Dogs were dying because, you know, the gas used to stay down low. And babies were, well, radon does the same thing. Babies, you know, who crawl on the ground. You put them on the ground. You put them in the baby coat, baby thing on the floor. You know, so they're getting these migraines. Their nose is starting to bleed on them. So what do? They're going to sue. And they're going to sue who? They're going to sue the last person they bought the house from, and maybe the person before that who actually did the work. So if you're doing work poorly, and it's sagging, and there's water problems, and you quickly did something and you sold it. If you don't do things right, you're going to get bit. And we are trying to bring these people to we just try to open doors. Just keep your mind open. All this stuff is out there to destroy your life. And when it destroys your life, it does. You know. I mean, you know, most of us are guys doing investments, but you know, and you know, the girl's out working, you ruin it over here. and she's, I work every day, and you're out there, with your houses, and now it affects me because they're suing everything I own. This is why at 60 years old, I'm trying to build a business. Steve and I are trying to build a business to teach people the right way to do things. Because at those big groups, it's all Yahoo, let's buy as much stuff as we can, get it fixed up and push it on. Let's flip paper, let's do all, you know what, if you flip paper, if I bought a house and then sold the paper and then somebody else bought the house and fixed it, you're in the lawsuit too. You know what I mean? So just doing, all I did was just, I bought it and sold it. Or I just got the contract to sell it. Nobody cares anymore. With the lawyers today, 8,000 lawyers are graduating every day and they need jobs. And, so the old days where we could cowboy through are gone. We are in the days where we have to know all this stuff. And these poor young investors who go to some of these places and they say, oh, you just flip paper. And then somebody says, well, you know what? It's illegal to act like a real estate person. Oh, no, but you can do that because you just do it this way. Are you a lawyer? Well, unless you're a lawyer and you better give them a card and you better sign a piece of paper saying if I get sued, you're going to take the money too. And I try to tell people, that's I just did my 15-hour real estate, every 2-year book. It's a third-degree felony and 5 years in jail and $5,000 for acting as a realtor. Just because you didn't get caught, don't be telling these young kids how to do things. Uneducated people teaching uneducated people is what we're trying to fight against. And I'm not saying listen, I learn every day. I mean, don't we have great stuff here?
Yeah.
Mind-blowing stuff. I don't think anybody came here and we said, it's scratch.
No, I learned something.
Because nobody, I don't like fluff. I don't let people do fluff pieces. No fluff. I tell people, listen, you got a 2-hour thing, cut it down to 15 minutes. I'd rather have an intense 15 minutes that really tells you some hard-hitting stuff than some general thing, and then, all right, well, if you want, the real stuff, you got to pay me later. No, we don't do that stuff here. So anyway, thanks for your attention. Thanks for all you people out here. We have a question.
So an assignment, to assign your contract, for example, you're saying that should be illegal?
Oh, illegal?
Unlawful?
Yeah. Listen. Well, again, there's a yes, there's a no, and then there's a.
Well, the title attorneys do it all.
Are you allowed to sign things? Are you allowed to sign? You know what? You can get sued for anything. So let's just assume that you can get sued for anything and leave it at that. So just be careful. Did I have all the right stuff on there? Did I tell people that I'm a realtor when people do that instant yes, instant no. No, there is no instant anything. Because I'm a I'm a broker in Florida and I'm doing a deal here, I got to write down. I have personal interest in that. I have and then I might be remembering stuff that I was told to write last year. Well, the law might have changed. So, what I'm thinking that I'm correct, and I'm still, I'm just saying, everything, just be careful. Just know. And I'm trying to bring stuff to the light as fast as I can. That's why I want more and more groups in different states, because I want those groups to bring in their own local people, their own local mortgage person, because I don't know what the mortgage laws are in Georgia, or the contractor laws, or the real estate laws. And we're surrounded by all these different states. So, I don't like when people just, oh, you can do that. How do you?
The title attorney ensures the transaction. Wouldn't that?
The title attorney was here, we had her 2 or 3 weeks. She said, man, there's so many screwed up titles out there. I said, I bought 4 lots in Fort Myers 20 years, 15, 20 years, just before the worst time, just before it went down. I fought code enforcement for at least 15 years. She was there. She likes the mangoes and the avocados that grow on it. Me, I have to pay the high grass maintenance fee from the code enforcement every couple of months. I finally go to sell it. I mean, I sold it to some Spanish lady in the front who has a car dealer. I said, hey, listen, you can use it to park your cars. And I sold her on buying it. I'm selling it like I'm losing like 50% of the deal because I bought it the highest time in Fort Myers. Plus, I paid a fortune in taxes and fines. So she sells it to the guy who actually owns the car dealership up in front. And long story short, she assigned my contract. I told her to assign the contract. I said, sell it to this guy, and then you can still use it. The title company called me up the other day. I see you have a couple liens on it still. We don't mind those liens and this and that. But there's a lien from 1975, 25 years before I bought the thing. And I went to a closing. She says, do you have your closing title papers? Because 25 years ago, somebody didn't sign some piece of paper. And they wouldn't close until they have so I found that I had to go dig up in my files and I couldn't find it. I know I have it somewhere. I'll find it the day after I close. Well, they finally called me up a week ago. They said, we can close now because we found out the guy died in April. The guy who didn't sign the paper died in April. Now they have his death certificate. And apparently I don't owe him any more money. So even title attorneys screw up all the time. I'm just saying, this is a crazy time where all kinds of goofy stuff is happening. There's all kinds of suits for, people getting asthma and all the other things. A lot of it gets caused to houses. I mean, what you think is pollen is mold. I don't want to take too much more time, but an air conditioner that's too big for your house. You think, hey, I got a good deal on it. It's not the right size for my house. I need a 3-ton. And the guy sold me a 4-ton and gave me the same deal. And I'm thinking I'm doing good. Because, boy, that thing kicks on. The house cools down like a minute. But a house isn't supposed to cool down like a minute. The house is supposed to cool gradually to suck the moisture out of the air. If it cools down too fast, the moisture stays in there. And then all of a sudden mold forms. And all of a sudden you get a headache. And you think it's the pollen. And all of a sudden summer or winter comes and the air goes off and the pollen goes and you say, oh, it must be the pollen because it's winter. It's the mold. And it gets worse and worse and worse. So these are things that we learn here. And Paul said, I listened to it. I said, holy crap, I put in thousands of air conditioners. I never heard that. This is what we do. So anyway, if you want to join, we're here. If you want to, these are always free and open. If you want to start a group down in Chattanooga, I'll love to start one down in Chattanooga. Let's get some investors, get some education down there. Because the education gets them excited. The daily education keeps them motivated. And then doing it the proper way keeps them safe. So let's do all three. Thank you very much. See you next week.